For everyone that's still joining, welcome. Feel free to take that poll. It is still active and it'll be live throughout the whole presentation. So if you can take it, that will give us a lot of insight into kind of where you're coming from. But we'll go ahead and get started. So welcome for our third consecutive monthly webinar. Today we'll cover marketing, particularly for your holiday lighting business. So whether you're already an installer or looking to get into this business, it's a perfect time to be looking into this, and we are here to help you kind of give you a 3-year plan on a marketing guide for your holiday business. So we'll go over a few different things here. Of course, we'll go over our 3-year marketing plan. So we'll start with your first season and then move forward on to what we recommend. And it'll include all the details from the cost that you can expect to spend on a specific marketing campaign to kind of the tips and tricks and strategies that you could use based on your location. But before we do that, I'd like to introduce all the 3 hosts here that we have. So I'll let Zeke and Gage introduce themselves, but I'm Mateo Young. I'm the Director of Business Development at Certified Lights. We are a distributor and trainer for holiday lights across the US. We sell commercial grade holiday products for residential and commercial properties at retail value or below. So we are here for you guys with whatever you might need from product to business support. We have you covered. Zeke, would you like to go ahead and
Sure,
introduce
yeah.
yourself?
My name is Zeke Domowski. I've been in the digital marketing space since 16. I've been running Creatively Innovative, doing Google Ads and SEO since then. And I've been in the lights industry running Google Ads or lead gen for Christmas lights since I believe about around 2018 is when I first had the first client for this. And we've been doing between 40 and 70 clients every year since then, helping people get more leads, grow their business, and scale so they can, become more profitable.
Awesome. Engage.
Yeah, what's going on, guys? My name is Gage. I run GML Media. So we help a lot of exterior cleaning companies, Christmas light companies, pretty much just dialing their Facebook, dialing their branding, leads, and sales. The whole goal is to pretty much make Facebook a profitable avenue for a lot of the clients we help. So we work with over 100. We've got guys all over the US, and in Canada. So yeah, that's pretty much mainly what we do is we dial in ads for a lot of people, specifically with Facebook, help them dial in their content and their sales processes just to make sure, Facebook can be super profitable for them. So yeah, I'm excited to deliver some value for you guys today and go over some things for you guys.
Awesome. Well, that is us. And of course, we'd like to hear from you guys, but with so many of you guys here and more on the way, we can't hear from all y'all. So the poll is still up. If you could fill that out, that would give us a lot of information, please. But let's go ahead and jump into it. So, like I said, we're gonna, for the most part, give you guys a 3-year marketing plan that you can use for starting or continuing to grow your holiday lighting business. So if you have no experience at all, that's totally okay. But if you're a veteran in the industry, you'll still get a lot out of this and a chance to win 100 free yard signs. So what is a marketing plan? A marketing plan is something that'll help you stay structured as you're growing your business, right? So a lot of the times people that get into this industry think that it is just going to be a seasonal thing that you can worry about just in the last 3 months, quarter four of the year. And although that is true, if you really want to make this a successful long-term business, you need some strategy, you need some structure, and you need some a really good foundation for all things, but particularly your marketing. So for your first season, we can kind of go ahead and get started here, Zeke.
Sure. So for season one, the biggest thing is getting your business name, get it registered with the state, and also get it on a utility bill. The reason why I bring this up is it matters for your Google business profile. And so if you're a pest control business or a pressure washing business, you're going to want to make sure that you have it registered so that you can create that Google business profile. But to do that, you're going to need to first have a website. So I'm going into point two, and I'll come back to the business profile secondly after this. So after you have your business name, you register it, you're going to create a website. When you create a website, you're going to find that the pricing for websites are from $1,000 to 5,000. But ideally, what we found is the best content or best websites are between 3 and 5K. You're going to aim for about 1,000 words of content per page so that you have the right topical authority for your site, and making sure that you're making the website for a installation business. You're not doing it for a lighting business, you're doing it for an installation business. So you're making sure there's good content for that. And then the other thing is making sure you're using content with images and not just stock images. So if you need images and you're in year one, reach out to Mateo and the Certified Lights, get that on year one, and then take pictures this fall so you can replace them by year two. So it makes it a little bit more personalized. Once you have that website complete, and you have your business name and it's registered, then you can create a Google Business Profile. Google Business Profile is what you find on the maps. To do that, you're going to go in and register your Google, or you're going to create a profile, but make sure you're starting with an email address that is not tied to your pest control, your pressure washing, whatever these other businesses are. And the reason for that is Google will suspend you or call it deceptive practice. And so you need to make sure you're doing an email address that's like info@yourchristmaslight.com. And that's what you're going to create the profile with. It's going to ask you, what is your business name? It's going to ask you where you're located. Then it's going to ask you for a phone number. Do not make it your other business's phone number. And then you're going to put in your website, and I'll say if you have it. And if it matches your email address with that website, it makes it a whole lot easier the time it gets to the end where it's trying to verify it. Doesn't always mean you're not going to have to do this, but at the very end, it's going to say, I want to have a verified by video. That verified by video is going to be all about showing that you exist there, from a street sign to showing your products inside your locked house, garage, warehouse, whatever it is. You need to make sure you show that. It's not hard to do this, but most people just skip all the steps that Google recommends. So if you skip their steps, don't be surprised if you don't get it verified. But if you go through all their steps in their videos and you show everything, you can get it verified. It's totally doable. If you have questions on that, I'd highly recommend you either do some research on it ahead of time before it gets suspended, or reach out to your SEO company that you're using for your other company as well, because they would be your best resource for this. Next one is attempt to land 3-year contracts. This is critical even in year one, because we want to make sure that this is not just a one and done thing for you. We want to make sure it's long term. And so when you're trying to sell your services, make sure that you're selling the service for a 3-year contract so that people continue to come back for the following year and the year after. But keep in mind, if you're going to do a 3-year contract, and Mateo's going to be able to give you more knowledge on this, is don't sell your service too cheap in year one. If you do that, you're going to end up being locked into a really cheap contract for that person for 3 years. And so reach out to Mateo for sure for getting the right pricing. Me and others will probably all agree that $8 per foot and up is where your minimum starting price should be. If you're below that, if you're in areas below that, just make sure it's profitable in your area to also include running marketing. I've seen so many guys where they're too low for that. And the biggest thing is make sure that you have your numbers in line. You're not just pricing it because you're pricing it or, oh, it's easy or it's quick to get to. You're really leveraging, hey, this is going to take my time from October to January to do. So let's make sure that it's the right price for not just the 1 hour install, but the setup, the takedown, the maintenance as well. Finally, the leveraging Certified Lights product advancement program. There's no upfront product spend. Mateo, you want to touch on this a little bit more in depth? I feel like this is going to be more you.
Yeah, for sure. I can take that point. So I didn't mention this at the beginning, but Certified Lights also has an extensive training and partnership program. So whether you're a new or experienced installer in the holiday lighting business, we have support and marketing materials and training tutorials and insurance and affiliates and all that at your disposal. So part of that partnership program includes a product advancement program. The product advancement program, essentially all it is you get fronted product, you pay it off when the season comes in November on weekly payments, and you pay nothing up front. 0% interest. You just cover the shipping, of course, for the product from our warehouse to wherever you want it sent. But that way, you're able to have product in hand, in stock, in your garage, in your warehouse, and you can spend whatever money you would have spent with someone else on on your marketing. So let's say if you're a 2-year installer, you did 150 homes last year, you want to do another 150 homes this year, but instead of spending 10 to $15,000 on product right now, you could come to us, sign up for our program, and we would essentially front you all of that product, or at least most of that product, to help you get started, and then you can spend that 10 to $15,000 on marketing or SEO or whatever else, whatever stage you are at. So that's why we put leverage that program, because really you're not going to find that anywhere else. We're able to take this bigger risk with fronting that much product to many people because we have this partnership program that you would sign up for beforehand. So we can kind of get to know you a little bit better, get to know your business, and get to know your strategy and all that. But I would definitely recommend leveraging that. We call it a PAP, Product Advancement Program. And then to touch a little bit on another point here on Certified Lights images, part of the partnership program also gives you tons of marketing material. So it'll be door hanger templates, flyer templates, yard signs, Facebook ads, email ads, call scripts, whatever you might need to help market and sell. We have it already built out for you. All you have to do is put in your phone number, your website, whatever, and get it printed or get it posted. So part of those marketing materials includes pictures of homes that we've decorated that you are allowed to use, that we welcome you to use as your own. And that way you can have already marketing materials ready to go for whatever customers that you're wanting to land, whether it's one-story homes or international airports, which we've done both of. But yeah, essentially that's what the product advancement program is. It's a way to help you guys spend more money on marketing versus product up front so you can have positive cash flow. But moving on, part of the part two of the season one is your actual customer facing marketing. So all of that, if you take notice here, it's kind of the back end setup, getting your structure set up, your LLC, your business structure, your website, and all that. And then the second part of kind of the base level of getting into this industry is the customer facing marketing. So how are you actually going to present yourself in front of your target clients, whoever that may be? And that is what we recommend, at least starting off. Now, you're going to hear a lot of different opinions if you ask other installers or other people in the industry as to how much you should spend on which different marketing channel. But we've seen the most impact on our hundreds of partners that we've helped train and support with print marketing. So this is largely yard signs, door hangers, EDM postcards, stuff like that that will help you really, really target a specific sector or zip code in your area that you know is going to be your target client. So, for example, for our seven-figure installation company here in Dallas, Texas, we only market to higher end homes, very high end, kind of even luxury homes that are in the multi-million dollar range. Because we know those are the kinds of clients that are willing to spend and have the ability to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on holiday lights, whether it's our minimum at $1,500 or a $50,000-$60,000 residential lighting job. We know those are the types of customers that can and are willing to pay for that if you're able to provide a high level of customer service and quality for that installation. And that with utilizing print marketing, you're able to specifically target those regions. Now, of course, with Facebook and other digital marketing, you are able to hone in on specific zip codes or specific demographics or specific job titles that will kind of also allow you to target those specific uh, target clients. But you might be spending a lot more there that you might not have in year one. So for year one, if you do a lot of print marketing, you can spend up to $3,000 and get hundreds of yard signs, hundreds of flyers, hundreds of door hangers, and still be able to pay people to go and hang those and spend less than what you would on digital marketing. Now, this is not to say that you should avoid digital marketing at all. As you can see, we've even listed it here because it is something that is very important, especially in today's world. But you should leverage as much free social media marketing as you can. So that includes creating Facebook page, just like Zeke was saying, creating your website. That can be free if you do it on your own. If you pay someone to do it, a couple $100s to a couple thousand, depending on how hands-on you want to be. But again, creating a Facebook page is free. Posting is free. Joining groups in your local area is free. Creating an Instagram page is free. LinkedIn page, all of that. There's a lot of different ways that you can, a lot of different tactics you can use to actually start building a presence in your area for this business without having to spend a lot of money up front, especially in year one. Another one of the print marketing tactics that we like to recommend is truck branding. And by truck branding, I don't mean go out and spend $5,000 on a wrap for one truck. I mean go out and buy two magnets that you can put on the side of each truck or on your box truck or on your van that says, "We install Christmas lights. Here's our phone number," with a nice logo on it. Something that screams, "We are a professional installation company, and here's our phone number." Keep it simple. And it's very cost effective. You can buy those this year and they'll last you for many, many years. And then, of course, down the line, you can upgrade to a full wrap if you'd like, if you have the money for it, or just bigger magnets, just like we do. Um, but these are kind of some more inexpensive ways to still get your name out there in mass while still targeting specifically the area that you want. Um, so that's what we recommend for year one. Of course, there's a lot more that you could go into, but for the most part, if you leverage a wide variety of these tactics, you'll have a fairly successful first year when it comes to marketing. But now getting on to season two, your second year. It's going online. So your first year, you spent $3,000 to $5,000 on your print marketing. You already started your Facebook page. You've befriended property management groups or real estate groups or home association groups, and you've started to build the presence in your area. Um, Now it's time for year two. Let's say you had a successful first year with 50 homes. Now you're ready to get your next 50 homes and start taking on some commercial work. So, on top of continuing to do what you did first year, which is the print marketing, again, yard signs, flyers, door hangers, you should start increasing your social media presence. So, Google ads and Facebook ads, I'll let Gage and Z kind of talk about this in particular, but it's more than just updating your social media profile or post. It's updating your website with recent pictures. It's updating your website with the correct SEO terms so that when people search best Christmas light installer in my area, you pop up first. You don't pop up on the second or third page because they're not even going to check the fifth result. So you want to aim to be on the first result when people search Christmas lights in my area or Christmas light installer in my area. And something here that I'll note as well is to keep in mind the demographic in your area. So for Dallas, we don't just appear at the top of the result when people search Christmas lights in my area. We also appear at the top when people search Diwali holiday lights in my area. Um, Landscape lighting in my area for non-holiday lighting. So you have to kind of be creative and think about what your client is going to search, not just what you would search, because it's not going to be the same. Um, One other thing here, this point is very, very important when it comes to marketing and building your reputation in your region is Google reviews. Whenever you go to a restaurant, for example, are you going to go to the restaurant that has 100 4-star reviews or 100 2-star reviews? Probably 100 4-star reviews. And that's the same way people search for any kind of service. They're looking for quality and cost. So if you can incentivize your current customers to leave you reviews, then that's just going to pay off in dividends in the long run. Even if you have to give a $50 credit, $100 credit for year one or year two or whatever it is that you have termed in your contract, it's going to pay off in the long run once you get to 200, 300, 400 reviews for your business. Um, and then not only having them leave reviews, but also going back and commenting. That shows that you're paying attention. So if you get a 3 or 2 star review, you go back and say, hey, thank you for the review. I appreciate your feedback. We'll do our best to fix this issue if there's an issue outlined in the review. That just adds level to your customer service quality. Um, And that last point, or yeah, the next point there is tracking ROI. This is a crucial thing that most people don't do. People spend $3,000 to $5,000 on something and hope it works. And then next year, if you go and ask them, hey, how did that campaign go? They'll say good or no, it didn't work, but they won't have any specifics. They're not going to say, yeah, we had a 20% ROI, or we had a 10% ROI, or we had a 80% ROI. Most people are not going to know that information, and that's what you can leverage to put yourself ahead of the competition in your region. So if you're able to track specifically how much you spent on a Facebook ad, how much you spent on a flyer ad, how much you spent on a yard sign ad, and then track sales and leads that come from each of those specific channels, next year you're going to be able to know which one worked, which one didn't work, and how much money should you invest in it this year, and how much should you expect to see back based on your year one results. And then this continues on to year five, year 10. Keeping organized uh, tracking for each of your campaigns is essential if you want to have a sustainable growth, and then be able to scale once you've built your foundation. And then last but not least is referrals. So we here in Dallas spend almost $0 on marketing for our installation company because we've gotten to a point where word of mouth is our biggest source of new business. Our customer retention is already pretty high just because of the level of quality of installation that we've been able to achieve. But any new customers that come to us are, like I said, are pretty much word of mouth or referrals. So whether it's an HOA customer or a new airport or just another residential customer, it's coming to us because we did a good job on another client and they referred to us. They referred other people to us. Um, so you got to ask for those. We do ask for them. We say, hey, if you like the job we did last year, we would love to earn more business. Can you recommend someone to us? Or do you know who owns this property? Or do you know who manages this property group? Um, this is kind of leveraging, or this is kind of going back and forth on sales techniques and marketing techniques because they're really hand in hand. Last month on the sales webinar, if you were there, I covered a lot on how to leverage these types of organizations that you can join for free or for a very low monthly fee and network your way into getting referrals, which is what we've done here. And it's again paid off in dividends. Um, so that's kind of another marketing slash sales technique that you can use is asking for referrals from your commercial and residential clients, because your marketing budget's gonna, or your marketing spend is gonna steadily decrease if you can get a lot of word of mouth referrals. But that's your year two. Again, everyone's year two is going to look different than everyone else's because it depends on your market size and depends on how hard you push first year and second year. But overall, this is kind of what you should aim for. Now, sticking to the topic of going online, I'll go ahead and pass it on to Gage, and he'll tell you a little bit more about how the Facebook side of things work.
So one thing I wanted to note, Mateo, I know we just got a live comment in the chat. I know somebody wanted to get the recording from I think last month's webinar with Ashley. So
Okay.
throwing it out there. But anyways, all right, guys, I want to go over Facebook and see kind of how you guys can grow, give you some, give you guys some value and talk about what you guys need. So the biggest thing that I see when people start ads is they don't have a good foundation. And when I'm talking about a foundation, what I mean is great content and a Facebook page that obviously has a pretty good amount of engagement, likes, and consistent posts, ideally a large audience followers and likes. So what I mean by this is content isn't just before and after pictures and all that stuff. And I'm going to dive into kind of a to-do list of what you guys are going to need to get when you do Facebook. But when you have this, people are going to be, when they see your ads, when they see your posts, or you just direct people to your page, if you've got amazing content, you've got a lot of followers and likes, and you post consistently and you show who you are, what you do, why they should, choose you, that's obviously going to have a lot more social proof. That's, going to work a lot better than if you didn't have that. So, I've also seen it just work a lot better. I think it's honestly part of the Facebook algorithm of just like, if you have a built Facebook page, it's going to help you a lot more with ads. So, yeah, the other thing too is, understanding your ideal client, what they actually, what they like, where they live, how they talk, how they think. That's a big part of it. Because not only do you want to target, people in certain areas or, maybe people that have more money, you also need to know how to target them with content, ads, all that stuff, with also how they think, and how they kind of talk. So one of the things I could say there is when you're installing lights, or you can be talking about a specific type of product that you use that that's something that you don't want to put in advertising. For example, with exterior cleaning, people talk about the specific, sorts of chemicals they use for washing. You do not want to say that. You want to talk more so about the outcome, not the products you use, etc. But yeah, other than that, and then ads is, obviously the other part of it, right? So foundation, having a good foundation, knowing who you need to target, knowing your customer, but also ads to match the ad copy to kind of the desires of what these people are looking for. Because when people are reaching out for Christmas lights, they're not wanting really the lights, they're really wanting the experience and the look, and just how it feels to celebrate Christmas. So that's what you're selling. You're selling, show your solution and have the call to action be what they're actually looking for. So they, can become a lead. The next one is just having a simple funnel that actually gets them thinking in the direction of the end result and collects all the info. Again, you're selling the outcome, you're not selling the service. So yeah, let's dive into the content section as far as what you guys are going to be getting. So people are gonna, buy from you if they know, like, and trust you. So everybody on this webinar, obviously someone knows Mateo, they know Certified Lights, they already have a partnership with them, or, they're connected in some way, right? If you didn't know any of the people that worked in the business, you probably wouldn't be in this webinar. And so that's with anything, when you're buying anything, if I'm not on here making content, you're obviously not going to know about me. So people are going to judge you based off first impression. They're also going to know, like, and trust you based off of what they've seen about you. So content is a super important part of when you're running Facebook ads specifically, because if you're only running, let's just say this picture in the bottom right of this house with the wreath on it, if that's all they see on your Facebook ad, yeah, that's fine, but you're also going to look like every other Christmas light installer that runs ads. Now, what we need to do is, that's fine if you have this picture at the bottom right, but you also should have some other pictures of your team installing the lights, some selfie pictures of you, some stuff to just show who you are, so some personal touch, right? So pictures are great, but also videos. So selfie videos is going to be a big one. So this could be, when you're on a job site, and let's just say you want to push marketing right now, but you don't have any installs because you're installing in October. What you need to do is you need to go install at your house, friend's house, family's house, wherever you can install. You don't actually need to put the lights up, just act like you're doing it just to get content. And then obviously you can get legit content when you actually start installing. But selfie videos is super important because people need to know who they're buying from and who's obviously going to be coming to their house. In action pictures and videos of your team installing. So, showcase who's actually installing, show pictures like this, just kind of like the one on the top right, top left, all that. So professional pictures with your truck would be also great. For example, this one of Tom in the bottom left could be something like this with the vehicle, mirror cleaning solutions with him right there. So that's also great. Another type of content you need to get is time-lapse videos. So these are really easy. All you need to do is just get a standing tripod, set up a camera, have your team install the lights, and it will speed it up automatically for you when you're done with the video. And then what you can do is record a voiceover over that, and make it like 15, 20 seconds and add some different clips in. And if that's a lot for you to do, we handle all of the editing when you work with us for Facebook ads. We handle all of the editing, but that's just kind of an easy one to get. And then picture with the client at night with their home lit up in the background, just like this one in the top left as well. That's a great one. And then selfie photos with your team in the background installing. So yeah, this top left one, I mean, you can definitely see, right? Like you can kind of feel why this would work, right? Happy clients, shows Kyler install, having the lights on in the background. It just gives, trust and good branding. So that's yeah, that's pretty much the content checklist. So yeah, let's go to the next slide. So these are going to be Facebook ad and page tips. So this is, some value for you guys to take notes on. That way you're doing it properly. If you do want to do this on your own, but if you actually want help and get to your goals quicker, obviously hire us. Yeah, so first one, pretty good for your Facebook page. So when people see it, have solid content, good photos, good videos, show you and your team, etc. That's part of building the good foundation of likes, followers, etc. But content's going to be a big one, and just how it's actually laid out and designed is going to be good too. Understand your audience. So most of the Christmas light leads that you're probably going to get are probably going to be women, at least on the first touch point. So you need to know, that's part of knowing your audience. And so it's not always men. Yes, you still want to target both, but a majority of what you're going to be targeting is probably going to be women. Now you're still going to get men leads as well, but we found that it works better when you're, trying to just somewhat target the women in terms of how the ad looks or how it sounds or what you say in the ad. So that's always that. Yeah, and then another thing is don't run any discounts on your ads or incentives on your ads. It's only going to devalue and make you look cheaper and not as great. So the best way to show your quality more than others is by having really good branding content, showing people who you are, building that trust. It's not about the lights. It's not about any of that. It's purely just on how you make it, perceive it, so, or how people perceive it based on what you put out there. Another thing is don't follow Facebook recommendations, meaning there's a couple recommendations that Facebook automatically selects, and you don't want a lot of those on. For example, there's audience expansion, which targets people that you don't really want to target. There's also content type of recommendations. So to kind of tell a quick story, there was a client we were running an ad for, and we didn't. It was new when we first found out about this, but we were running an ad. It was a selfie photo, and it was zoomed in on his face like a ton because we had the Facebook setting on where it was zoomed in, and it looked terrible. And so we obviously had to take that off and switch that and set that as a new SOP for all of our team to make sure that's off. So there's a lot of things, but those are two examples. And then, yeah, again, if you're running this on your own, always make sure to set the actual form as higher intent if you're doing a lead form. So that way people are actually having to do a couple extra steps to become a lead. And then last piece of advice is, again, I mean, you get what you pay for, and if you want to grow, then you just kind of have to. You can do it on your own, just like with anything. You could run Google ads on your own. You could do a lot of things on your own, but when you get advice and you get help and you have people do it for you, that do it for a living, it's probably going to work a lot better for you and have a much higher ROI. So yeah, just save yourself the pain. And if you really want to grow with Facebook, you know where to go, and you can always reach out to me for help, and we can see, what we can do for you and draw a plan. So yeah, I think that's everything with Facebook. But
Awesome. Yeah, and Engage, if you want to drop your email or something down or your website in the chat, I think that would be helpful for people. And
yeah,
as we transition over to Google Ads, I do want to take a moment and say if you do have any questions, feel free to keep sending them in the chat or the chat. We'll get to all the questions at the end if we haven't already in the chat. So feel free to keep sending them and we'll get to everyone. But Zeke, do you want to jump into Google Ads?
Sure, Google Ads. So Google Ads, guys, those are the ads that come up at the very top of Google. If you ever search for Christmas light installation, you actually might see at the very top local service ads, where it's an electrician ad up top there. And so the question always comes up, well, what can we actually run? Well, local service ads are not available for Christmas lights. It's just triggering because of the word light installation. So your only option to run on Google is through search. And so that's where you're bidding on keywords for Christmas and holiday light installation versus the local service ads from other industries where Google kind of like automates it. They charge you per lead, things like that. That's just not available. So to run Google Ads, here's what you need to do. You need to understand what the keyword match types are. There's 3 different types. There's broad, phrase, and exact match. And the reason why this is really important to know is if you use broad, Google will literally show your ads to anything even similarly related to any keyword you put in there. And broad is when you don't use quotes, you don't use the brackets, and it doesn't, it'll say on there broad match on there. And what it's doing is basically if you put in Christmas lights, Christmas lighting, holiday lighting, it will literally show your ads for everything. It could be literally clips, accessories, bulbs, anything. And so you don't want to go down that route. You want to stay in phrase and exact match. And you always want to think about what is the service you provide. Do you provide holiday lighting or do you provide holiday light installation? You have to ask yourself that question. What exactly am I providing? If you provide holiday lighting, that would mean you provide a product. That means you provide people with product that they would buy for holiday lighting. Just do a search. You're going to find jellyfish lighting, Omnio or Alio and something. That's not what you want. And that's where I think a lot of people go down this path of paying way too much per lead is because they're going after all of these random keywords that have to do with the product and not the service. So stick to keywords that are more about the installation, installing, company, things like that. And so that's where you want to drive down to more specific. And as the data comes in, you're going to just keep refining which keywords are working by what's converting, what's getting you phone calls, what's getting you forms. Up next is you have to match those keywords in groups to ad copy and your landing page titles. And so what that means is if you're going to be bidding on holiday lights or holiday light installation, for example, or Christmas light installation, you're going to separate them out so that holiday is in one and Christmas is in another. The reason for that is you want your ads to actually correlate with what the person looked up. So if someone looks up holiday, you want them to see holiday. They look up Christmas, they see Christmas. You don't want them to have ad copy that just doesn't relate at all. And I've seen ads like that and they just don't get as many clicks. And so that's why you have to really focus on how do I group these together. For me, I think we have about 10 or 12 different ad groups. So it's every single variation of holiday and Christmas, putting those into keyword groups. And then when it comes to the landing page, you need a landing page that's not your home page. It's not your service page. It's like a cliff notes of your whole site put into one single page. And it's not just your contact page. You want to state what you do, how you do it, why I choose you. Here's some before and after pictures. And here's my contact form or phone number to be able to call you. Now, when it comes to budgeting, budgeting is a very difficult one with a seasonal business because you could set a $30 per day budget in September and you won't spend it. The volume won't be there in September because it starts ramping up in September. In October is when it starts getting a little higher. And then November, you could clearly spend $30 a day. And so you really have to think about how much do I really want to spend per day and how many leads am I getting? A lot of times people will put a budget and then go, I'm getting calls, I'm getting forms, they're coming from my site, therefore it's good. Now there's plenty of agencies out there that will just go and say, I'll take your money, I'm going to just run your ads, and they run it through your site and not through a landing page. And what happens is every single lead that comes in through your site, you just assume came from their ad campaign because you're like, well, maybe I didn't get it from anywhere else. And so you really want to make sure that you have call and form tracking set up on your own with them, whoever it is, to make sure that you know where that call came from. And so call tracking you can get from callrail.com. Call tracking metrics is another one as well. And then there's another one called What Converts is another call tracking platform. All of those platforms will be able to track your calls. And forms is the same thing. You don't want to just make sure that the call or the form came in from your website, but did the form come in from an ad? Because it's very possible that they could have come in from another source. So make sure you have that set up. When it comes to bidding, this is where I'm going to go back to budgeting as well. How you bid is all dependent upon your tracking. If you have no tracking, you can't bid. And so if you are at $100 a day and you're just raising your bids from $4 to $5 to $10. I've seen some guys go crazy and they bid the amount they want to pay per lead. I don't know what the point of that is. It might be new math is the word for it. And so they're bidding like $25 a click. That's going to be pointless because it's going to take you a lot of clicks to still get you a lead. And so you really want to keep those bids low until you figure out what your desired target cost is. The thing is there isn't really an ideal target cost per lead. You could get $30 leads, you could get $60 leads. Some could be not converting, some could be spam, some could be people that aren't willing to use your service. So it's really up to you to track what that cost per lead should be and whether or not it's working for you. And so if you are getting leads for say $30 a lead, well then your budget, if it's at $30 a day, you're not gonna get more than one lead per day. And so that's why you want to raise your budget to say $60 or $100 per day if you're trying to get more than one lead. And so there's a balance between not bidding too much, having the right target cost per lead, and your budget. And it's kind of a mathematical equation to really figure out what works for you. Now, there's pitfalls to running Google Ads. Biggest pitfalls we see is not tracking calls. This is the number one thing I see. Not tracking a call would simply be the same thing as not putting electricity into your lights after you're finished. Say, hey, I hung your lights, but I don't really, want to plug them in, and you don't know if they work. You're not sure if they work or not, and so you don't want that. It also be a lot like driving blind, like to your job. Like no one would drive blind to their job. Well, don't drive blind without having that data. Second common mistake is going with too broad of targeting. When I say broad, I'm talking about the keywords. I'm not talking about the service area. And so I see a lot of guys where they're so broad, their cost per leads. I've seen multiple guys come to me $130 to $160 per lead with other agencies. The other agencies will hide that. They'll say, hey, here's how much you spent. Here's how many clicks you have. Here's this or that. And they'll avoid the cost per lead. They'll really walk around that topic because they know their cost per lead is really high because they're going very broad. So it's a very common mistake. And then lastly, it's the landing pages. They're super generic. They're going to a home page. They're going to a service page. They're not going to a page that's made to convert. And so we highly recommend building a page that's very more bullet point and picture format. Don't go with the content format. So watch out for those three big mistakes there. SEO, actually let's go to 2 slides back and then we'll back up to this one, Mateo. Sorry, 2 slides forward to the list because I need to go into the scaling. So, because you want me to cover this, right? With season 3? Yep. So season 3. That was season 2. We covered Google ads. We covered Facebook ads. Season 3 is all about scaling. This is where you go beyond just doing ads, doing paid sources. And so we talk about the different things, and then we're going to go back into talking more depth for SEO, just like I did for ads. So by season 3, this is where you're scaling for SEO. We see it works best in target areas of 250,000 or greater. You obviously could be in a smaller area for SEO, but the volume number of leads you get is really just going to depend upon who's actually searching in your area. I have found personally, I live in a town of 12,000. My county is 26,000. We do better off with yard signs and Facebook posts and Facebook ads. So it's just too small for that. Yes, you could do SEO, you could rank, but are you going to get enough out of it, especially when you're working with an agency? So for me as an agency, I recommend it 250,000 or greater to actually pay for it as an agency. But should you have a website with good SEO? Absolutely. So at least you show up if someone looks for you. Strong push on referral bonuses is going to happen here in season 3. Like you really want to be at Mateo's level where like they have so many clients that people are referring people back to you. That it's going to help drive your cost down, whether you're doing Facebook ads and Google ads. It's going to help drive your cost down for total acquisition cost, just because people are going to trust and know those people very well. Also, it's going to help with your Facebook ads. If someone's commenting and saying, hey, we use such and such, it's going to help push your brand out there a little further. Now, if you want to get into property management groups and or get into HOAs, this is where you have to start building your brand in that community. People need to know who you are and basically who your brand is and not be just off to the side. And this is where you need to join property management groups. Mateo can get information on that. I believe it's part of their partnership program, help you with those management groups. Sponsoring HOA events. You're getting into more of the brand awareness at this point, guys, season 3, where you need to max out Google ads and Facebook ads and SEO, like, before you're spending money on maybe a sponsorship. Like, yeah, you should push property management, you should push to get onto HOA, but you're getting into a level of just being known. You're just paying to have your name out there. Like, for instance, I sponsor a local gala every year in my area. But it's just your name's out there. And it's not so much it's going to get you that business right away. So take these last ones in scaling a little bit differently when it comes to these branding, because they won't always have an ROI right away. Vehicle branding. This is when we're moving from magnets to full or half wraps. A good wrap on a truck will bring business in. If you can afford it earlier on, that's great. Just keep in mind, it's gonna be about $5,000 for a good vehicle full wrap. A half wrap is like $1,500 to $2,500, depending on the size of your vehicle or trailer. But vehicle branding can really bring up your level of brand awareness in your community. People are like, oh, I've seen that truck. I've seen that. Like, literally, someone before this call messaged me and said, hey, Zeke, who you used to repair your AC? I didn't catch their name. And it's funny because Wolf AC is huge in our area, but she just missed it. And I was like, yeah, I just used the biggest person in the area because they answer calls the fastest. They have better service providing. So vehicle branding is very good. And then you're also going to renew those 3-year leases at the end of this year. And you're going to also need to do a price increase. So if you got someone in season 1 and they were only at $6 or $7 a foot, 3 years later, your pricing should be reflected with going up maybe about 3% each year. So by the end of 3 years, Mateo, would you say it's going to be about 10% increase at a very least? So it's probably,
Roughly, yeah. Yeah, that's
yeah.
a solid increase for that 3-year contract.
Yeah, so then you're going to be moving up and say, hey, here's a new pricing. This is with the inflation involved as well. And so you get them, hyped about, the service you just provided, great quality of service. Hey, let's sign another 3-year contract. Here's a new price for the next 3 years, and try to get that locked in. Now we're going to go back and dive in depth into SEO on what do you need to do to get your website uh, ranking. So we're going to go back into that. So SEO deep dive here, we have long-term keywords is the key. So when it comes to SEO, you need to make sure that you're ranking your site based upon long tail words, not holiday lighting, not Christmas lighting, but Christmas light installers, holiday light hanging service. Any of those 3 words or longer is what you're trying to go after. The other thing is to making sure that your content is natural, and all the information on there is all about who you are, not ChatGPT stuff that comes out of ChatGPT. I can't tell you how many people just go, write me a paragraph about Christmas light installers. It'll spit out something and super generic, and Google can tell that it's generic, and so it's not relevant to you. So try to make sure that you have it very related to you. We do this, we're family owned, we've been in the, Grand Rapids area for X number of years. Make it tailored to just you, and make sure you're using those keywords across your bullet point 2 titles, the content, and the density of it. And so in your titles, you're going to be using Christmas light installation, installers, and hanging, all of those terms. And then in your content, that's where you're using them as well. But that length of content that I'm talking about here is about 1,000 words is a minimum you should be doing. But to rank higher than the person above you, you need about 100 words more than them. So you need to research who your competitors are. If they're at 700, do 800. If they're at 1,500, do 1,600 words. And so that comes down to you and your website designer on how much content can actually fit on that page, because 1,600 words really needs to be put in depth on that site. Like, you're going to need some good picture and content on it. It can't just be a wall of text where it's picture, wall of text, picture, wall of text. It needs to be formatted in nice formats with icons and bullet points and FAQs. So that's really key. Keyword density, reason why that matters is make sure these keywords are throughout the page, but not overly done. You don't want to say Christmas light installer 7 times. You might say it in different ways, installing Christmas lights, things like that. Try to keep it natural. Blog post, this is key to whatever your keyword is for your main homepage or service page, don't repeat it again in a blog. Don't do another page about Christmas lights in Dallas, Texas. Instead, hit on topics that are relevant. how early should you book a Christmas light installer? How do you hang Christmas lights in a tree? How do you wrap post? What's the best way to fluff garland? All of these things are relevant to the topic, but don't hit on your keyword of the installation and hanging services that your main page does. It's a big problem, and I see guys use AI. They're like, oh, I'm just going to use AI and just pump out blogs. We had a client pay a company to post AI automatically to a site, and it tanked his rankings because it was literally saying like Christmas light installer Dallas, Texas review. It was literally trying to steal our main keyword by having these other posts. So don't do that. Keep your blogs completely separate and just topically relevant. Lastly, it's setting up your Google business profile. So this is kind of touching on hopefully your one, making sure that you have it set up, but make sure you add a service area in there. If you're service area business, you can leave the address. If you have a commercial address, I don't recommend leaving the address. If you're not commercial, you can get suspended that way. Add photos to it, no stock photos at all. That will get it down, knock it down. Ask for 5-star reviews from last year's clients before the rush. I have found a correlation to reviews and rankings. So as reviews die off and you don't get reviews, you want to make sure you have reviews that are relevant and current. So meaning you want to start getting reviews now in August and September so that you're ranking again for this fall. So that's really key. And lastly, your Google business profile ranks because of your website content. So you want to rank that, get your content in order, follow the key steps ahead above about the long tail keywords, 1,000+ words, and the density of your site as well. And then we're going to go to 3 caveats of SEO, things that common mistakes. Ignoring local keywords is a super common mistake. We see a lot of guys that are just like, hey, I do Christmas lights. Oh, holiday bright light and cheer. But they don't say where they're located. I can't tell you how many people submit a form on my website, and I'm just like, where's this guy located? And so you need to say where you're located. Tell Google we're Christmas light. We hang Christmas lights in Dallas, Texas, for example. Like, state that. Make sure you use your local keywords throughout the page. Content strategy is another one that goes back to the blog versus main page. Make sure your content is one topic per page. Do not mix topics on the page or have 2 pages with the same topic. That's a very common mistake we see. And then finally, mentioned before, not asking for reviews. That will burn. Like if there's 2 things that rank at your Google business profile, number 1, it's having the word Christmas lights, lighting, outdoor lighting, having the word lighting in your name. And the second one is reviews. So having the keyword and reviews is the top 2 ranking factors in maps. So if you don't have either of those, or if you only have one but not the other, it's going to make it a lot harder for Google to rank your site. Going to the last, let's say recap. Are you doing the recap?
All right. Yeah. Yeah. Before we do get into the recap, I want to touch on 2 points that you talked about. One is the multi-year contracts. I touched on that a lot in my sales webinar last month, but because it's like sales and marketing are hand in hand, I did want to touch on that a little bit. Um, the 3-year contracts are a really good technique to keep customer retention high. If you only sign a 1-year contract, they have the option to just cancel it, of course, after the first season. And if you did a great job, but they kind of look back 2 months, 3 months down the line and saw that they paid $3,000 for some lighting, they might rethink that after the seasons pass, after the emotions of Christmas and holidays and family have passed, and kind of rethink that and not sign another contract. But you can incentivize them to do multi-year contracts like we do by giving them a discount on the 3-year contract. So for example, if we sign a 1-year or if we offer a 1-year contract for $3,000, a 3-year contract would, instead of being $3,000 per year, it would be discounted 10 or 15% per year. So then that gives them more incentive to purchase the 3-year contract in the long run. And then, of course, we have all the terms and conditions in the contract that says if you want to cancel, you're free to do so. But this is what the terms are. Um, that also locks in the price. So another kind of tactic to use it, and that's more of a sales tactic, is to say, well, you can sign this 3-year contract now, and we guarantee that your price won't change for those 3 years. If you only sign a 1-year contract, you'll be paying more per year, And we can't guarantee that next year we can offer you the same price because market conditions or inflation or whatever, or demand got a lot higher. So it's in their best interest to make it seem, and it is, but also make it seem like it's in their best interest to sign that 3-year contract because of all those reasons. And then the second point I wanted to touch on is that, and kind of segueing into the recap, is that in just 1 hour, a little bit less than an hour, we have covered 3 years worth of marketing materials. This is a ton of content that, of course, no one can be expected to remember in just an hour, even if you took notes or watched the recording multiple times. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about the partnership program as well. The partnership program that Certified Lights offers is a just a monthly charge. I think it's 19.99 that you can pay and get access to all of this material on our website, as well as product discounts, one-on-one meetings. So if you wanted to book a call with me and talk about marketing strategies specifically for your region, specifically with your budget, specifically with your business experience and business size, we would be happy to do that. If you wanted help on designing your marketing materials, we would be happy to help you with that. If you were needing help with pretty much anything else, rendering your designs online and helping get those renders to a customer to close a sales in a higher percentage, we can help with that. There's really anything that you could need as far as support for sales, marketing, affiliates, installations, hiring, whatever, we can do that for you and we can help you and we can be there for you at every step so you can actually succeed and not make these kind of rookie mistakes that we've kind of outlined throughout the presentation, like the SEO pitfalls or the Google ad pitfalls, or knowing if your market is too small to do Google ads, or knowing if your market is a good size and knowing which zip codes to target, or knowing what kind of ROI you should expect, or all these little things that will, I don't want to say guarantee, but will make it much more probable that you will have a successful first year, second year, third year, and so on. So this partnership program is really highly recommended and has been highly recommended by people outside of our company because there's just so much support that you get for such a little price that it's kind of silly not to invest in yourself um, with that program. And you'd get more in-depth marketing webinars, more in-depth sales webinars, not just kind of these kind of higher levels of webinars, but you would get a deep dive on everything that you could need or want when it comes to this business. So, highly recommend it. I'll send a link here in the chat. But if you visit certifiedlights.com/partners, you can see everything that you get for that 19.95. And it's really, really invaluable, the data that you get. But again, just to recap, the 3-year marketing plan, as you can see here, year one, season one, set up your business, set up the right foundation. Your goal, like we have here, if I'll go back um, a few slides, your season one goal should be to minimize costs, learn how to sell and install, and then create your systems to scale. You don't want to just create systems for year one. You want to think 5 years down the road, are these sales processes going to be able to be learned by my installers and by my salespeople? So I, as the business owner, business kind of head of the business, don't need to go in and create those processes down the road, and I can focus on landing bigger jobs or whatever it is. Um, so it's kind of getting started, setting up the right foundation. Season two, your goal should be to increase your online presence and use lead funnels for paid ads and referrals. So kind of start to think about 3 years down the road, how can I increase my referrals, word of mouth, uh, referrals, um, and start thinking about how to minimize the marketing spend, but still grow the business at the same time. Season three, start scaling. If year one and year two went well, you're already at 200 houses, you're starting to get into commercial, that's fantastic. But you also want to make sure that you're growing sustainably. You can reach $1 million mark and be at a 10% net margin, which isn't isn't too great, especially for this business. For us, we do seven figures and we have a 35% gross margin, which is phenomenal because we've followed our own advice, right? We've gone through all the processes, we've created processes for our teammates to follow, for our installers to follow, and it's very detailed, and we make sure that everyone gets trained on everything that pertains to their role. So if you start with the end in mind, if you scale properly, then year three you can kind of really focus on landing those bigger jobs and not have to worry about making sure that your installers are properly trained because you would have already processes set up to do that. So year three, season three, or when you're ready to start scaling, your goals should be to continue establishing your business in the community, become a well-known brand, um, and renew your existing contracts when it comes to year three. Um, Now we've also gone ahead and taken all of the recommendations that we have and put it down here so you can see kind of what you can expect based on what year you're at in this process of getting into or growing in the industry. So you can see a Facebook page, Google reviews, building your profiles, all that is free. But then you start getting into kind of the more essential, the most effective um, strategies when it comes to marketing. So again, your vehicle branding, either your magnet or your wraps, your website design, your website layout, your website funnels, landing pages, and then you can move down to SEO, Facebook, social media campaigns, print marketing like flyers and yard signs, and then you can continue moving down. As you can see here, we've kind of ranked it somewhat into effectiveness. So door hangers and EDDMs, those are postcards. Um, they'll go from your mailbox to the trash can almost directly, but as they walk the postcard to the trash can, if you've designed it well enough, they'll see Christmas light installers, here's the phone number. And the goal or the I guess the trick with postcards is to hit the same area multiple times. So the first
Okay.
time they see it, they'll see, oh, this company installs Christmas lights. I don't need that right now. Trash. Second time next week, oh, that's cool. I recognize that brand. Still don't need it. Trash. Third week comes around, middle of October, their kids are already asking for about Christmas, what they want for Christmas, or their wife is already starting to talk about Christmas presents or a trip or whatever. And then they think, oh, I recognize this brand from somewhere. They're not even going to remember that they saw you on a postcard, but they're going to remember your logo. So if they see, oh, I recognize that from somewhere, let me give them a call and get an estimate. That costs them zero. It costs you about 66 cents per postcard, and it could be a good lead that's already familiar with your brand. So it's not going to be super effective as far as the percentages go, but if you spend $2,000 on a postcard campaign, you get two clients that each pay $3,000 per year that are already paid for the campaign, and then they can refer more and more people. And those are very low numbers. You can expect a little bit more from a $2,000 campaign for postcards, but generally these are costs that you can expect to see. Again, it depends on your region and the demographic in your area. One other thing I'll say is that if you have a younger population in your area, you might not want to do a bunch of print marketing. You kind of want to focus on the social media a little bit more. But if it's a community, an area where it's a little bit of an older generation, maybe old money, higher end customers that are well established in whatever field they're in, then print marketing might be a little bit more effective because they're not going to be on TikTok. They're not going to be on Instagram, but they're going to read the stuff that they get in the mail. So you really have to kind of just know who your target customer is. And with that, let's go ahead and do the raffle, and then we'll get to all the questions. All right, so off screen here, I do have, just to show y'all, I do have a spinner. This is all the names for the registrants. I'm gonna go ahead and spin that, and we will get the winner for the 100 yard signs. Now, whoever the winner is will get a code, and that's the way you can get the campaign. All right, and our winner is You can't see that there, but it says George Delgado. George Delgado, are you here? If you are, comment in the chat. Let us know you are here. Let's see. George doesn't appear to be on the attendees list, but if you are here, please send us a chat. I'll give you a few more seconds here. You do have to be present to win. So before we get into the questions, let me give away these yard signs. All right. I don't see him here. I'm gonna go ahead and just move on. I'm gonna spin again. And the second winner is Matt Eddington. Are you here, Matt? Matt Eddington. Let's see. Give you a few seconds to claim your prize.
You might have to like screenshot the names of the attendees
Yeah,
and
I might just do that.
then have ChatGPT.
Okay, let me spin it one more time.
Kyle Law just said, "Did you only call Matt?"
Matt Eddington. That was the second winner, but I
Who was,
don't see their name here.
yeah.
Okay, let me try again. Third time's a charm. All right, is there a Jeff Meeker here?
He is here. Yeah.
All right, looks like we have a winner. Third time is the charm. Uh, Jeff, are you here?
Here you go. Winner, winner, chicken
All
dinner.
right. Awesome. Well, congratulations. You just won yourself 100 yard sign, so you can go ahead and get started and use the techniques we've talked about here. I'll be in touch, Jeff, with a link right after this, with a code to a link that you can use to claim those. Um,
So we got some questions here. Jonathan Lewis has a question up top here. I want to make sure you don't miss that one. He
yeah.
says, do you help with permanent lighting business as well? I do both Christmas and permanent lighting. Currently, I'm looking to expand my permanent lighting business. I'm going to hand that to Gage to answer that question.
Yeah, yeah, we do. It kind of depend. It's a little harder to run ads for. I mean, not to run ads for. It's more so a little bit trickier to sell. Obviously, it's more expensive for the homeowner to pay for it unless you're off the payment plans. Um, and then yeah, we can definitely do it. We've got, some successful clients that do it as well. But you kind of just have to like run it at good times. If you're wanting to run it all year round, you definitely can. It's possible. You're just gonna have to be really good at closing deals, because you might get a lot of people that will come in for leads and not realize how expensive it is. Um, and then, yeah, one thing that I've noticed too is if you're gonna run permanent, you sometimes want to run that alongside Christmas ads in the Christmas light season. If you can handle both, then you can do both sides. So, okay, so it says I do about 5 6K a month and probably doing 5 to 20 a month
I
during
think
peak
that's
season.
5 to 6 jobs, not,
Mm,
yeah.
5 to 6 jobs a month, probably going to be 15 to 20 a month during peak season jobs. Okay, yeah. Do only Christmas lights in November.
And from a Google, oh, he does Go V currently, but he does
So
higher tickets. Oh, interesting.
Hmm.
Um, I've seen guys do Go V at like $20 a foot. I've seen that, and they use like 3D printed or like printed sockets on it. But
Oh.
typically, yeah, it just depends on your dollar amount because the higher the ticket, obviously it's harder to sell from Facebook too. Like someone comes in, they're like, "Oh, I didn't realize that's gonna be 4 or 5 grand." Um,
Hmm.
from Google standpoint, from Google, the volume's still low on people actually looking it up. Our research has shown that people look up generic terms. Anytime it's Christmas light installation, that could also be for permanent or non-permanent, and so it's not
Yeah.
even something that's high volume from Google. It's just
Yeah.
not very well known just yet.
Yeah, it's very new.
I think I would recommend that if I could jump in here. We also do permanent lighting during the off season, primarily during off season. And the way we go about marketing ourselves there to let our customers know or people looking to get these installed is to join apps like Thumbtack or other similar apps that connect contractors or home service people to the directly to the customer. It can get a little pricey depending on how much you want to spend, but and that kind of just goes down to whatever marketing budget you might have or might want to spend on that particular service, the permanent lighting. But Thumbtack in particular has worked pretty well for us for Govee and other types of permanent lighting that we offer. Um, and then Thumbtack also allows you to filter out leads. So if you get a lead asking for a different kind of lighting job, then you won't always have to pay for that lead if you can prove that that's not what you're offering. So if you've, that would be from our perspective, my recommendation is signing up for one of those if you can't find a way to kind of mass market it for through Google or Facebook.
Yeah, yeah. If I had to pick, Jonathan, if I were you, I mean, I would try to do anything you can organically and for free. And I'm not too familiar with Thumbtack. Maybe Thumbtack would work well. I think if you were gonna kind of pick and choose which one would work better, Google or Facebook, Facebook would definitely work better for it. It's just how you do it, how much money you're willing to spend, how long you're willing and able to dial it in, because people have to know, like, and trust you for a while before they buy from you. And if they're wanting to spend that much, or if you're wanting to get people to spend that much, it's, you're asking, kind of a difficult question for a lot of people, but it's possible. There are some permanent lighting companies that do really well all year round. You're just gonna have to be really good on camera, really good at creating content, really good at sales, and have a good amount of budget and not, spend a couple grand in a month and then call it quits. I mean, it's gonna need to be a while. I know you said you do Christmas lights too. Christmas lights, Zeke and I could probably both help. It just depends on your area. If you're in a small or big area, Facebook would also be great. And holiday lighting we're launching, like, I think 70 or so people actually probably more, so like 80 or 90 in September right now of our clients from Facebook. So holiday lighting is very, very common. So yeah, he said I do 45 plus houses a year for Christmas lights. Yeah, if you're
You
looking to
could
scale that
double
up,
that for sure with Google and Facebook.
Yeah, you can seal that pretty rapidly.
yeah.
There's a question about Spanish tile. I'm gonna let Mateo take that one. What are the best lights for Spanish tile? I think that's more of a question about clips, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That comes down to the clips. Definitely no glue. We try to avoid Spanish tile as much as we can because it's so fragile. We've had instances where we have installers up on the roof and it breaks, and then we get blamed for it, whether it was our fault or not. Um, Even if the crack was there before, and then they just notice it after we go up and install. So we try to steer the sales pitch away from Spanish tile if we see that the house has it. But if you need to, um, if you get an all-in-one clip, that's usually the best bet to go because you can still kind of stick it up under the tile, or you can expand big enough so it can actually just grip the edge of the tile, and you can still do the outline. Um, so I guess my answer would be if you can avoid it, avoid it. If you can't avoid it, just make sure you have that all-in-one clip. You can find that on our website or any other supplier's website, but make sure you have the right clip.
Oh, top clips at a tile specific clip at Huge last week. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, if you can get a tile specific, but that's another reason we like that all-in-one clip is because if we are gonna do a house with Spanish tile, then we'll need to change all our materials just for that house.
mm,
And our one of our main focuses is to keep a streamlined product line because that helps us kind of be more effective and get the jobs done quicker while still keeping the quality. But if we have to go and sort through different types of clips for different types of jobs, um, it just kind of slows us down. But you can definitely find roof specific clips, tile specific clips, if the job calls for it. I see a question from Kyle Law real early on too, actually. How do we get access to those marketing materials? And can we get access to the recordings from last month? Yes, to the second one for sure. I actually already sent out the recording. So if you were signed up for the webinar last month, you should have received an email the day after with that link. I'm gonna resend it again when I send this one as well. So if you're in the, well, you are here, so I'll have your email and I'll be sending that to you. Um, as far as the marketing materials go, that is exclusive to Certified Lights partners. So if you go to, again, certifiedlights.com here, and I'll put that in the chat. Certified Lights com/partners. You'll get all the information about our partnership program. And if you sign up for it, we have two tiers. We have a silver tier and a gold tier. With either one, you get access to the full partner portal, which is where you can see all those marketing materials, all the sales scripts, all the marketing templates, all of the tutorial videos for how to actually wrap things properly and make sure that you don't have a lot of callbacks, the entire product line, what every little product does, what every little clip does, everything you could need to know is going to be in that portal, and you get access to that portal by signing up for the partnership. So recommend um, checking that website out. And if you have any particular questions about it or want help signing up, feel free to shoot me an email, Kyle, there at the email I just sent below. All right.
Any other questions about ads? Facebook,
Yeah,
Google,
I'm curious.
SEO?
Yeah, I'm curious if anybody has any ad questions or
Marketing.
content questions. We've got 13 people in here now, so any of you 13 people, if you've got any questions, ask away.
Yeah, there's definitely a ton we could talk about here. More questions may pop up, I did want to highlight one of our affiliates, Warriors for Lights. They're a great way to market yourself inside your specific region. They actually set up um, a funnel for you for anyone that's looking to get the kind of service your way or looking for to get this kind of service. They help you channel all that to you with vetted leads. So you're not going to get kind of that bottom of the barrel, install the lights for $300 kind of jobs. You're going to get vetted leads for whatever minimum that you already have. And that's one of the affiliates that you can get through the partnership. You can also sign up with them directly. Go to warriorsforlights.com. But if you're a certified partner, you get a discount in all their services. It's definitely something I recommend and something that we use for permanent lights actually, um, in landscape lighting jobs. So it's definitely an affiliate I'd recommend checking out.
It's like
Zeke, I think there's a question for you here from Diego. How much should I budget for Google ads during the holiday season?
So it really comes down to your area, to be honest. So for instance, um, yeah, so Facebook and Google ads. I'll cover for Google, then Gage will cover
yeah.
Facebook. It really comes down to the area. If you're in a metropolitan with about 1 million people, I would recommend about $5,000 in ad spend. If you try to spend more, it may not actually happen. Now, I have to leave that loose because we had a client last year that spent $5,000 with another agency and got $130 leads. And that's obviously not what we do at our agency when we're getting leads for anywhere between 40 and 60 bucks. And so they spent a ton more. So when I say 5,000, I'm saying if you work with us and you're in 1 million population, you're probably going to spend around 5 grand. If you have 2 million people in your area, you could probably spend around 10,000. Sometimes it's higher. It really just depends on your area and how well people actually know the service as well. And so that can really differ. But that's one of the reasons why we recommend an area of at least 800,000 as a service area, because we want you to be able to spend at least 3 grand to make it profitable. So you're getting enough leads to get enough volume to make a good return on your investment. So that's kind of the key to it. Gauge, Facebook. What do you think is a good budget for that? By the way, that
Yeah,
was per season, not per month. I should have mentioned that.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
per season, 5K.
Yeah,
So
gotcha. So, yeah, it's such a variable question. I mean, we've got people that have spent, 3K in a season with us and have made over 100K from those ads. We've also had people that spend 3,000 a month and bring in 30 or 40,000 a month from the ads. So I think there's so many variables because it's not really market, it's how good is your content, how is it how is it resonating with the leads or with the people in your market to make them become a lead. There's a lot of variables. I'm gonna give you kind of just an average of what I see that's pretty common. I would say what's pretty common for most of our guys, and these are probably guys that are probably doing, I would say probably from 50 to 200K a season, I would say. And that's not just from Facebook, that's all over. But I would say like a common monthly budget would probably be, you know, 1,200 to 2K a month, I would say. So, 1,200 times, however soon you start your marketing. Some people start in October, some people start it in September. I'm just gonna give a monthly because it depends on a lot of things, but yeah, probably 1,200 to 2K is probably pretty common. We do have people that spend 750 a month or 900 a month, and they also do pretty well, but it kind of gets low. Yeah, so I mean, the more the better. So. And then I know Diego asked, when's the best time to start running Christmas ads? So for us with Facebook, I think September is probably the best time to start. Setting the expectation that October, November are going to be your heavy hitter months, but September is kind of where you need to get things moving, and you're still going to get leads, you're still going to close jobs. But yeah, just kind of get everything out there and get it started. So I would say September. Again, we're launching a ton of our clients in September. I'd say like 95% of our people start in September. And then I know
it's
Brian
the
asked,
same for Google Ads as well. You want to launch in September, even though volume is slower. You won't actually spend as much with because Google's pay per click versus
yeah,
like Facebook will spend the actual budget. But you do want to get started between in the first 2 weeks of September.
yeah, yeah. And then Brian asked, what CRM would you recommend when running ads or other marketing? I don't think it really matters all that much. I mean, Zeke and Mateo, you can chime in on this, but for us,
Jobber and Marquette are the top two that we see. And we've gotten feedback on Tinsel and others, and people that have switched back and forth. Like one guy was like, I like Tinsel, but I switched back to Jobber because of such and such. Or I use this one, but then, and so I would say those are the top two we connect with Zapier. Mateo, do you have another one as well? I mean, those are probably the top biggest ones that I can think
Yeah,
of.
those are the top ones. I would say it all comes down to preference because everyone wants to see their ad laid out in different ways. Everyone has different channels that they're using, so it kind of depends. But if you go with the top ones, that's never going to be a bad option until you figure out kind of what you're looking for, and then you can kind of
I
narrow
think
down.
Jobber lets you go down to the free version. You just can't use it for the rest of the season. And then we have a lot of guys that turn them on September 1st. And so we wait till they turn it on and then we connect it with Zapier again because what Zapier won't let us connect until it's paid. But Jobber is probably the most expensive, but also probably the most well known and well used. But they have like texting formats. They have a lot more follow up stuff. They have where you can choose which line item, like automatically, where you can choose the line item on there. Um, so it helps people kind of upsell themselves, where you pitch them $4,000 of lights, and they can pick 2,000 of lights. So it kind of lets them upsell on their own. Alan asks, "Oh, Mateo, you're gonna have to answer this one. What is the best way to get in front of property manager groups or HOAs?"
Yeah, great question. The best way we've seen is to just join these groups. Um, I'm sure you guys have all seen through networking, there's a very easy way to network with just LinkedIn or email, but it's not personable at all. When you sign up for these HOA communities or property management groups, they're going to be all over the US. So if you find them in your area, you just have to do market research. What property managers manage this neighborhood or this what's it called? This little mall or a park, um, and then try to see if they have vendor programs or try to see if they have sponsorship packages that you could sponsor a lunch. And then you can attend those events and network there. That I would say is the best success that we've been able to see with these kinds of groups is attending their events. And if you can be a keynote speaker at one of their lunches, that's fantastic. If you can just show up to a lunch or one of their events and pass out business cards, say, hey, I know it's May, but if in 3 months you need Christmas lights, give me a call. I'll give you a good deal. That would be the best way I would recommend to get into those groups without using kind of LinkedIn or kind of the non-personable ways, because that's what everyone's doing. And there it's just going to be another LinkedIn message or another email. So that's what I would recommend is do your market research, pick the top five in your area in different groups. So get your residential property managers and then get your commercial property managers, um, or HOA communities and try to join them. Go to their events. Go to their monthly um, uh, business updates, and then try to network your way in that way. That's the best way I've seen. Uh, we've done it that way, and it's worked pretty well for us. So that's what I would recommend. Yeah. But great question, Alan. And then one other thing I would say there is I would caution against starting commercial jobs too early. If you are just starting off, I see in the poll, it's about half half. Half of you guys have already started this industry in your business, and half are kind of thinking about it or are not quite there yet and getting started. So if you are just getting started, I would recommend stay away from commercial jobs at the beginning. Um, Residential allows you to kind of dip your toes into this world and uh, get your processes right for installations. Make sure your tree wraps are tight. Make sure your bushes look good. Make sure your roof lines are straight. Make sure your connections are off the ground. All of that, because if you mess up on a residential client, of course it's not great to mess up, but it's a much easier fix. You just go up out there the same night they call you or the day after and fix it. If you have a lot of issues with a commercial client, they're going to cancel the contract and they're going to tell their friends that, hey, this we had a lot of problems with this company. Why don't you look somewhere else? Um, Residential customers aren't going to know the other 20,000 people in their community, but HOA managers are going to know the other 15 managers that manage properties in your area. So that's kind of the word of caution I'd give against that. The word spreads really quickly. So if the word is good, then you'll get a lot of referrals. If it's not good, then you'll kind of make it harder for yourself to land jobs if you take on commercial jobs too quickly in the business. Yeah. Great. Well, any other questions? We are kind of right on time here, but I think we can stick around if anyone has any other questions. I know we covered a lot. Just again, going back to the recap. If y'all have any questions about any of this, now would be the time to ask it. But again, I dropped my email here, and the other guys did too. So if you have any specific questions, feel free to reach out to us. And then the recording of this will be sent out by the end of the week, so you can rewatch it. I know it was a lot of material that we covered.